Alright, no longer had I created the previous video regarding not legitimate ride in which comms were achieved at the end of the ride. I just received another notification of lost comm on a ride in which the comms were at the beginning of the ride. So I've already gone to the comm. I actually already flagged it, but I wanted to talk about what I saw that made me flag this ride. Why was this ride flagged? Okay, just like before, the first thing I'm going to look at is the top speed. Here we have a maximum speed of 81.4 miles per hour. Pretty suspicious because you simply cannot go 81 miles per hour on a bike. The distance and the average speed look match pretty well with the elapsed time, so that seems to be okay. So let's look at this ride a little bit deeper to see where did this person go 81 miles per hour. We go down. Now we see the map of the ride, and I see something very interesting at the bottom. Because I know the area, I noticed two freeways. So it looks like the beginning of the ride, which is the green dot, the person rides from the green dot and gets onto a freeway called 680. Alright, they drive down 680. And then they take the ramp to go on to 580. Of course, there's no segments on the freeway, so nothing achieved here. But when the rider gets off the freeway, they're still in the car, and they on regular roads now with segments, and they start to get comms. And we can see this at the beginning of the ride. We see at the beginning of the ride has all these comms at very, very high wattages, which are really not achievable back to back. You just can't do that. It's not something that's realistic, especially in light of the fact that they were just on a freeway. Now we can go further and look at something called the analysis button up here. So we click analysis, and that'll show us a little graph of where the speed and power and heart rate are. We notice something very interesting. Look at this speed. Very, very high speed at the beginning, and then it drops off to regular speeds. And this is all indicative of what happens after the freeway. We can go right here and we can look at this ride. And we can also move our cursor over these little squares, and we can see that there's all these comms at the beginning of the ride. Then nothing, of course. But then click on these squares, and we notice that that's right after the freeway. There's other comms. And that's right after they got off the freeway. So it's pretty clear that the ride actually started at this endpoint. So they put their bike on their car, they drove over to this destination, setting comms along the way. They stopped, pulled their bike off, did their regular ride, returned to that endpoint, and then ended the ride. But everything at the beginning was not legitimate. Unlike the last example which I showed, in which the end of the ride was not legitimate. So it can happen either way. People might prematurely turn their GPS on to record, and they also might forget to turn it off. So not legitimate comms at the beginning, or illegitimate comms and achievements at the end of the ride. Everything else about this ride is very, very normal. So I did flag it, but it's something to look out for. The comms at the beginning of a ride all bunched up together.